Have you ever been told before that you talk fast?
Oh, all the time. I can't stop it. It's unfortunate. I've been really working on it for a long time, but again, okay, so I will fall into the Jewish stereotype. I'm a Jew. Jews talk fast. And two, my parents talk extremely quickly. So everybody in my family, we sit around the table, and it sounds like everybody's on fast forward all the time. Eventually, we actually hit chipmunk speed, and then we go silent, and we go back in time. One time, we ended up back in 1955, and I had to make sure that my parents met and that I was born eventually. It was wild. Because my vote doesn't mean anything. That's not what they're concerned about. The reason people are pissed at me is not because of how I'm voting. I vote in California. My vote doesn't mean anything. Right? I'm going to get outvoted by 30%. It doesn't make a difference. The reason people care about what I'm doing is because they say the things that I say are hurting Donald Trump. So the implication is, if I say something true about Trump, and it has the effect of hurting Donald Trump, it's my fault if Trump loses. This I refuse to accept. And the reason I refuse to accept it is because it's not true. It's Donald Trump's fault if Donald Trump says things that are stupid and I comment on them. It's Donald Trump's fault if he says things that are morally unpalatable and I comment on them. I'm not going to be Chris Christie to watch Donald Trump get elected. I'm not going to be Shinebox. That's not my deal. It's not your deal either. As I've said at this point at least 1,000 times, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, vote for Donald Trump. But don't lie about Donald Trump, because lies are bad. The fact that we have to go back to rudimentary moral reasoning now, lies are bad. It's the reason why both parties are now filled with liars, because there are too many people who believe that lies aren't bad so long as it's somebody on your side telling it. The lunch counter protests the lunch counter protests that are so famous in the civil rights movement occurred as a voluntary boycott in the early 60s, long before the civil rights movement, and it integrated. They integrated the business because of that. Capitalism discriminates against no color, no creed, and no sexuality. They want the cash.
Integration was done by force.
Against state government.
Most
whites do not want to
you live a very comfortable life. If you're going to talk about civil rights, let's talk about what happened for people trying to get served.
Let's make sure we're hearing
against
one
state governments that were compelling segregation.
One second, Ben. Let's make sure we're hearing each other. What was it that, Ben, you concluded with? It was
Woolworths. That was voluntarily.
It was state governments.
What I was saying there is that state governments were the source of segregation in the first place. People who think that Jim Crow was a voluntary system in which people just decided that they wanted to segregate their businesses are incorrect. There were Jim Crow laws on the books. The law in the state of Alabama is that you needed a 7-foot-high wall in your restaurant. Okay, this idea that the government always has clean hands and that it's individuals who are the problem, and that capitalism, in the absence of government compulsion, is not the solution to discrimination, must have missed the last 50-odd years of history in this country. Lies are bad regardless. Right? When Hillary lies, that's bad. When Trump lies, that's bad. You should not lie just because you like somebody. The reason, in fact, you should support somebody is because they lie less. The reason you should support someone is because they're better as a human being, and they have better principles, and those principles matter. And the fact that people are willing to turn themselves into mouthpieces for Trumpism just because they hate Hillary so much, that's what I find troubling. And that's why I think conservatism is in trouble. Because I'm seeing it happen a lot. I'm seeing it happen across the board. People I respect, people I don't respect, people coming out and pretending that when Donald Trump does bad things, it's totally okay because at least we're trying to defeat Hillary Clinton. It's not okay. You can still want him to defeat Hillary Clinton. That's fine. But please, for the love of God, do not do this routine where a Trump lie becomes not a lie because his last name isn't Clinton. It's very intimidating to be in rooms with a bunch of liberals. And we're going to have to, if we want to win the debate, we're going to have to go into hostile environments. It's not a bad thing. It gives us an opportunity to convince people. Don't be intimidated by the thug tactics. There was a point in the interview, late in the interview, where Piers said, do you understand how absurd you sound? You're absurd. You're ridiculous. And I said to him, Piers, that's not an argument. That's not an argument. If you want to come bring people on just so you can insult them and avoid the argument, that's cool. I understand that. And I'm happy to be like a scapegoat for you so you can abuse people. But if you actually want to have a discussion, you say you're serious about this issue. If you're serious about this issue, let's talk. Not being intimidated is half the battle because it's so easy to be intimidated. When someone calls you nasty names, it's easy to be intimidated. The only thing that you can do is to fight back twice as hard. And it's really amazing how the left is capable of rewriting history, yes, a little bit with the help of the right. So the left, what they'll do is they'll embrace literally the worst things in the world, the worst things imaginable. And then, after those things are discredited, they blame it on the right. So listen, the left embraced Hitler. They thought that Hitler, at the very beginning, was a new kind of leader. He was a fascist, new kind of leader, energetic, big government. They really liked Hitler. Read Jonah Goldberg's Liberal Fascism for more on this topic, because it's true. And then, as soon as Hitler turned out to be a genocidal maniac, then all of a sudden Hitler was a right-winger. And who said that Hitler was a right-winger? Many of the people who said it were communists, members of the Frankfurt School. They decided to rewrite Hitler so he wasn't a national socialist anymore. Now he was a national conservative. He's some sort of conservative figure, was Hitler. They did the same thing with Stalin, right? Stalin was an actual communist who was backed by large segments of the American left. And now it's Donald Trump who would have liked Stalin. It's Donald Trump who would have liked Stalin. Not Obama, not Hillary. Hillary, who got her training from Saul Alinsky, who was actually a communist, right? Not any of the people on the left. Suddenly, it's the fault of the people on the right. And this is what the left does. The left takes everything that it wants back, slavery, segregation, communism. They take all of these things they want back, and they blame them on the country at large or on Republicans specifically. And it's a lie, and it's not true, and that's what Joe Biden does there, but he gets away with it. And is he going to be asked that question? And what would have happened if Donald Trump had gotten up there and said, you know, Hillary Clinton, she would have supported Stalin. She would have. He just would have paid her, and she would have supported Stalin. Media would have lost their mind. But you can say anything you want about a Republican and get away with it because it's nice to be a Democrat.
My question is, you were raised in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Where did you grow up in Los Angeles?
Burbank and North Hollywood.
Okay. And what high school did you graduate from?
I went to a private high school. It was called Yeshiva University of Los Angeles, private Jewish high school.
Do you know the demographics of that high school?
Upper class. And wholly Jewish. It was a Jewish high school.
91% white, I believe, if not higher.
It's not, I mean, just statistically, it's not possible for it to be 100% or higher. But beyond that, Jews are not all white, just so you know. In fact, half of Jews are Middle Eastern.
I'm not saying that it's 91%. I'm not talking about whether the Jews or not.
I'm married to a non-white Jew.
Okay.
Right, she's Moroccan.
So, and you went to a couple different colleges?
Mm-hmm. Well, I went to one, and then I went to law school, yeah.
Did you have to work in high school?
I did, let's see, did I have a job in high school? No.
Okay.
No.
And did you put yourself through college?
Yes.
Fully?
I paid my own way in college.
Good for you.
Is this going anywhere, or at the end you bring out my family and this is where is your life? My parents made a lot of very good decisions to give me a better life. I hope to make very good decisions to give my child a better life. I hope that you would personally make very good decisions to give yourself a very good life. Would you? Well, this question has now gone on longer than speech, so if you would like to get to the question mark, I'd be happy.
Sorry, you kind of interrupted me, so I'm trying to remember so I can say it clearly so you can understand what I'm trying to ask.
We're still here. Go ahead. Well, then it wasn't worth mine. That's ridiculous. Okay, all that said, I mean, that's the fight. I really believe that's the fight for the heart and soul of the Republican Party right there is not even whether you vote for Trump or don't vote for Trump, back Trump or not back Trump. It's whether you are willing to lie for Trump or not willing to lie for Trump. That's the great moral conflict to me. Don't lie for candidates. Your values, your soul is worth a little bit more than that, folks. You can vote for whomever you want, but don't lie to cover up other people's lies.